Again.
What the
You see that? The minute I pointed this at the trap.
This is really weird. Every time we flash our lights on it, the rocks start to fall from the ravine again. It's almost this indication that something wants us to get out of there.
From a truly shocking experience while he and his team were out in the wild searching for Bigfoot to the awful treatment of one of his younger peers, here's why Ronny LeBlanc is leaving the Expedition Bigfoot team. The search for the legendary cryptid that is Bigfoot can be something that has captivated the imagination of many for many generations. There is no way to emphasize how true this statement is, especially as we know now that even when the Native Americans were the dominant race on the continent of North America, they were well aware of the fact that this strange creature was somewhere out there, lumbering around in one of the many forests found on this land. As such, it comes as no surprise that even till today, there are many that have been involved in revealing the truth behind the existence of this legendary creature. Such is the legend of this creature that nobody can even confirm what exactly this creature is. All we have is either anecdotal tales of encounters or dodgy videos or photos that only serve to add to the dubious nature of the existence of the legendary creature. Looking at the situation, all we can say for now is that the creature is believed to be a hairy, giant, ape-like bipedal creature that made its way through the woods of North America. With that in mind, it should come as no surprise that many have dedicated their lives to searching for the legendary cryptid. That is why it is interesting that the guys at Expedition Bigfoot have decided to search for this creature today. With the modern technology that we have available to us today, there is actually a decent chance that the members of the Expedition Bigfoot team may actually have the tools to make that breakthrough that we are all desperate for. Thankfully, several of the individual members of this team are ready to get to work. First, there is Dr. Maria Mayer, the well-respected primatologist, anthropologist, author, and scholar, who has spent a good chunk of her career reporting on wildlife and habitat loss, while also doing all she can to bring awareness to some of the most alarming environmental problems plaguing the world today. Also, twice Emmy-nominated as a wildlife correspondent, this great mind is eager to bring the mystery of the legendary creature to light. Helping her make her way through one of the many woods found in North America is the likes of Russell Accord, another well-accomplished author on the team. Although he is also a keen filmmaker, he is known to be a massive Bigfoot enthusiast who has dedicated much of his life to bringing the mystery of Bigfoot to an end.
I haven't played anything since the last time I told you. There's sounds that are happening all around us. Sound like something moving down here.
Although he may have never had any personal encounters with the legendary cryptid, despite living in Montana, one of the most notorious hotspots found in the U.S., we know that he is eager to find this legendary cryptid once and for all. Another member of the team who is also eager to find this legendary cryptid is Ronny LeBlanc. A well-known independent author and researcher, he is well respected in his field due to his works concerning topics touching on the strange and unusual. First, there is the fact that he wrote the critically acclaimed and best-selling book called Monsterland, Encounters with UFOs, Bigfoot, and Orange Orbs. Aside from penning this piece of literature that gives details on the history of UFO and perhaps their connection between several phenomena known to man, he is said to be the first person ever to cast a Bigfoot print in the Bay State from a trackway discovered by a couple in Leominster State Forest in the summer of 2010. As one of the key members of the Expedition Bigfoot team, there's every chance that we may have the success that many of us have been eager for when it comes to the search for this legendary creature we all know as Bigfoot. Alas, we all know that this search for this legendary creature will not be easy. After all, the Expedition Bigfoot team is not the only team to have set out into the woods so they can find this legendary creature. Then there are the many dangers involved in this search, as not only will they have to venture into some of the most remote and dangerous terrains found on the continent as they chase after a track that may lead them to Bigfoot, there is also the fact that they may not even survive a proper encounter with this creature. As such, it should come as no surprise that some of the members of this team may eventually be put off by the search for Bigfoot over the years. Embarking on the search for Bigfoot. This takes us back into the woods when the Expedition Bigfoot team was searching hard for the legendary cryptid. During this particular episode, the team was taking a unique approach in looking for the legendary cryptid. You see, rather than focusing on tracking the creature down to wherever it may be lurking, they decided that it may actually be better for their search if they try to lurk the creature out. After getting to what they considered to be a good spot out in the woods, they decided to get to work. You see, this spot was considered to be a target zone for Bigfoot. If they were right and had been following the creature to some point in these woods, then the sound of the possible Bigfoot call that was given to them by a local who claimed to record the previously mentioned call may actually serve to be enough to lure the creature out of its hiding place. The lure of success with such a call must have been too strong for them to ignore, especially as it may actually give them a chance to bring the search for this legend to an end. There was no way they wouldn't take this chance. Now with this call, they hoped that they would be able to receive a response from the mythical creature. If they could get this response, maybe they could track down Bigfoot by following it. Who knows? They could even get a visual of the creature. Maybe they could even get a hold of it. The possibilities were truly endless. With such a plan in mind, the team went about setting up their equipment. Once Dr. Maria Mayer informed Russell Accord that she and LeBlanc were in their positions, Russell, from his high position on top of a cliff, got ready with the high-powered speaker system that would blast the supposed Bigfoot call out into the wilderness. With Ronny and Maria positioned right under him in the hollow underneath the cliff, there was every chance that they could be the first to respond to the call of the creature if it ever responded to theirs. Maybe they could even close it down to get that visual that we spoke about just a few moments ago. The possibilities were truly too exciting for them to delay with their experiment any further. That said, they knew that they had to be careful because they knew that they were not the only creatures out there. After all, they were out there in the middle of the woods. There could be anything out there, ranging from a little badger or a deer to a pack of wolves or a lumbering bear. They had to be careful not to attract the attention of any of the aggressive wild animals that may be out there. It makes it even more problematic when they consider the fact that they are not so certain about the nature of the call that they were blasting with their high-powered sound system. It could be anything between a distress call or a call that may provoke the aggression of whatever creature they may be calling out to. Sure, they know that many different primates have many different mating calls, but they just weren't sure about which one this one may be making. With any luck, they may be able to avoid provoking the creature that they end up calling out to. Aggression of the legendary creature. This reminds us of the stories of the legendary creature that emerged from the state of Kentucky. Apparently, the Bigfoot, or the Sasquatch, as it may be referred to by such people, had noted that this creature seemed to come with a ton of aggression. This may be due to the fact that many of those who recalled their encounter with the so-called Sasquatch told us that the creature seemed to be charging at them or throwing rocks or stones at them. All in all, pretty much all the accounts coming from such people told us that appearing in the presence of the legendary cryptid could be an unfortunate thing, because it is clear that you are not welcome. The creatures are drawing ever closer. With that in mind, Russell, Maria, and Ronny braced themselves for whatever they would come across when they found themselves in the presence of whatever responds to the call that they emit from their high-powered sound system. When the moment came upon them, Russell played the call out into the wild. This was a make-or-break moment for the search for this legendary creature. With the moment now upon them, we were sure that they couldn't help but notice the chilling nature of this call. What is interesting about it is that it was quite similar to a call that may be released by a wolf. Be that as it may, the team didn't really have time to think about the quality of the call. Right now, all they could do was wait and listen. Maybe something will respond to them. A handful of chilling moments passed with nothing happening. Although they must have hoped for a response, they may have been somewhat relieved that they did not get an aggressive call in response. As much as this may have been a relief for the team, they suddenly jumped to attention when they realized that they were hearing this strange noise. Almost like the call of an owl or maybe even an ape of some sort, the team was certain that they were listening to some sort of response. Maybe this response could even be coming from the creature that they had been searching for. Maybe they were even hearing from the legendary Bigfoot. As they listened to the response, you could tell that the team was excited yet wary. although some of them felt that they may be listening to the call of a coyote, a rather scary prospect for anyone walking through the dark woods in the dead of night. You could tell they were excited about the recent activities being experienced. In fact, you could also tell that they lost their sense of excitement when they realized that the response may have come to an end. With that in mind, the only way they could respond led to an even scarier moment, because they got an even louder response to their call. As scary as this response must have been, it is truly admirable that the Expedition Bigfoot team was able to hold their resolve long enough to observe what was going on around them. Once this eerie response came to an end, Russell, Maria, and Ronny all wondered out loud about what they had just heard. After confirming that they had never heard a sound quite like that in their lives, they were certain that this time, that was not the response call of a coyote. Sounding more like a long-term whistle of some sort, the team was certain that this was quite a unique sound. In fact, they were certain that out of all the animals that they knew were domiciled in woods such as this, they knew that none of these creatures could ever make such a sound. No, this creature that gave off that response was definitely not something that was usually found in these woods. As you can imagine, this was an exciting time for them, because there was every chance that this sound was given off by the legendary Bigfoot. That being said, the team realized that they may have some cause for concern. Not only was there a chance that they may run into a strange creature in the woods, there was actually a very good chance such a thing could happen, because that response did not sound like it was too far away at all. With such thought in mind, you can imagine how the hairs on the backs of each and every one of the members of the Expedition Bigfoot were standing when this strange sound suddenly erupted out of nowhere as they were looking for their bearings. What may even be scarier is that this time, the howl sounded as though it had gotten even closer to them. At that moment, Maria was so confused by the noise that she even had to ask Russell if he was the one responsible for the noise. To her utter fear and dismay, Russell responded that this was not done by him. What may even be scarier was that even Russell was coming to the realization that there were certain noises that were popping up around them. What have they gotten themselves into? The reckoning with the Bigfoots. With that in mind, their team braced themselves for impact. It got to the point where after hearing some more rustling sounds, Ronny believed that he could actually point to the source of the noise. This creature was definitely lurking in the woods around them. What may even be scarier is that he figured that they were two of these creatures surrounding them on either side. In fact, there was every chance that these creatures were even within reach. Pretty frightening prospects for them all. Interestingly enough, though, the team was able to display so much bravery that they tried to follow the sound. Frightened out of their wits, Maria and Ronny wandered around in the darkness, barely able to see a few feet beyond what their flashlights let them see. As such, they may have been caught unaware when they were startled by a sharp sound that they heard close by. Unable to determine if something broke or fell nearby, they continued to search around them, hoping that the truth would be revealed without them getting hurt. Frightened out of their wits, Ronny and Maria decided that they might as well follow the noise. They were already out there after all. As they tried to find their bearings, they were tracking what could possibly be the source of this strange noise. Ronny seemed especially zoned into the fact that the noise seemed to be moving around them. Moments later, Ronny would spot something that made him believe that whatever they were tracking may actually be tracking them instead. This is due to the fact that he believed that he had noticed not one, not two, but three creatures that may be surrounding himself and the good doctor. They must have felt that they were actually in a tight spot of bother. What were they going to do now? Russell seemed unaware of what may actually be going on down there with Ronny and Maria. In fact, he seemed to be waiting for them to give him a distress call, because if they were actually in trouble, he figured they would reach out to him. Well, that was bad luck, because Ronny seemed to be so in the zone, he actually noticed something that was so compelling he decided to go after it. This was very much to Maria's shock and displeasure, because not only did he leave her exposed to what may be out there by going after the creature, he also put himself in a ton of danger. Who's to say that this was not a trap to lure the Bigfoot hunters deeper into the woods so that they could get rid of them? Luckily, Maria was able to catch up with Ronny before he came to any real harm. Although Maria was raging about what just happened at that moment, she decided to hold her tongue until the next day when she warned Ronny about how dangerous what he did was for him and the safety of the rest of the team. Never had she seen that level of unprofessionalism while she was out there in the field, and this was someone who was a wildlife correspondent for giants in the field, such as National Geographic. Hopefully, this will serve as a learning curve for Ronny and anyone else who happened to venture out there into the wild. That said, it doesn't take anything away from how dangerous this search for the legendary cryptid seems to be. After all, these people cannot find Bigfoot only by carrying out research in their labs. They all knew that they would eventually have to venture into some of the remote parts of the woods found on the continent of North America. As such, not only are they exposing themselves to the harshness of the climate and the terrain found in such woods, they are also quite vulnerable to the creatures that may live in such environments. Then there is the fact that, as we've been told by those who ran into this creature in Kentucky, Bigfoot may not be as docile or as passive as people may think. If it is actually true that Bigfoot was wild, aggressive, and unwelcoming to those who may have run into it, then they may be in for one heck of an experience when they actually run into this rare and elusive creature. As such, not only does it make a bit of sense as to why this creature may be difficult to capture in a picture or footage, it may also explain why Dr. Mireya may have reason to be so annoyed with Ronny when he ran after what he believed to be 3 Bigfoots. What if they were truly aggressive enough to crush him as he approached them? Either way, there wasn't much more room for concern at this point, especially as the group would continue on with their search for a few years to come. However, it looked as though such an experience may have been too much for the likes of Ronny, because as we draw closer to a 5th season of Expedition Bigfoot, we notice that he may not be part of the team that would venture into the wild to search for the legendary cryptids. Sure, it appears they are going back out there to search for Bigfoot a couple of years after the conclusion of Season 4 of Bigfoot. But did this mean that Ronny had lost interest in the legendary cryptid? Alas, we'd find that although he may have been distressed by his experience, such as the one that we recalled, there may actually be another reason for Ronny's absence. In fact, many fans may find that the fan favorite may have had a good cause for his shocking departure from the show. Apparently, he was put off by what happened to a young man named Daniel Lee Barnett. A budding cryptozoologist in his own right, it seems as though the young man came into some trouble when it was revealed that he may have been falsifying evidence of some of his discoveries. As you can imagine, that is a big no-no in the world of cryptozoology, especially as they fight every day to be taken as seriously as other sciences. That said, Ronny has come out to state that he hasn't been too happy with how the young man has been treated by his peers. As such, this may be the end of the collaboration with Ronny LeBlanc and the rest of the Expedition Bigfoot team. With any luck though, we hope that such issues would come to rest so that he can join the efforts put in by the rest of his team. After all, we need every hand on deck if we are ever going to find the legendary creature that is Bigfoot. From a truly shocking experience while he and his team were out in the wild searching for Bigfoot to the awful treatment of one of his younger peers, here's why Ronny LeBlanc is leaving the Expedition Bigfoot team